Hey Blades fans, welcome back to Hertz Arena for Game 3 of the Kelly Cup Finals as the Florida Everblades play host to the Kansas City Mavericks. Will Henshaw alongside Jake Maurice. And Jake, a beautiful victory in Game 1, 8-1 over the Mavericks. And then Game 2 coming through, the Mavericks evening the series 5-1. Now the series level 1-1 for Games 3, 4, and 5 coming up.
Yeah, Blades did what they wanted to do on the road, getting a split, bringing it back here with a chance to win the Kelly Cup on home ice for a third straight year. Certainly going to be a very tough task to accomplish against these Mavericks, but you put yourself in a situation to hoist it again on home ice.
This is a very familiar spot for the Florida Everblades, making the Kelly Cup Finals for the third straight season. Entering this series, the Blades have won an ECHL record 11 consecutive playoff series. So this is, at least for the past couple of seasons, business as usual for Brad Ralph and the rest of the Everblades team.
Yeah, we're used to hockey in June at this point down here in Southwest Florida. I mean, third straight Kelly Cup Finals appearance. That's the first time any team in ECHL history has done that. 7th straight Finals appearance overall in franchise history, the most of any team in the ECHL. It's pretty much business as usual, and that's how the team seems to be treating these kind of games, right? You can't give them too much more importance than they really have. You have to go into it as right now it's a 1-1 tied series. The Kelly Cup isn't getting hoisted tonight. It's going to be around the concourse. You can go get your picture taking with it alongside the June M. Kelly MVP Award, which has been won by goaltender Cam Johnson each of the last 2 Kelly Cup Finals. We'll see if he has a chance to hoist that one again or if it's one of his different teammates. Either way, though, tonight, just another game, a pivotal game, of course, but you can't let it get into your head at all. You just got to treat it like another 60 minutes of hockey.
Be where your feet are is kind of the motto of the day for the Everblades. But Jake, let's kind of go a little more in depth of the first 2 games of this series because they were anything but business as usual. An 8-1 victory in Game 1, the most goals the Everblades have scored this season, beating the previous record of 7 that was done against the Savannah Ghost Pirates earlier in the year. But the game was 1-1 very early in the first period and then 7 unanswered goals by the Everblades. That's the kind of offense you'd love to see continuing in this series.
Yeah, 3 goals in the first, 4 in the second, another one in the third. 3 different players, Oliver Chow, Bobo Carpenter, and Reese Molick, all scoring 2 goals in that game's offense. Very spread out. You got another shorthanded goal in that game. Everything was great there. In Game 2, not so much. You get an early goal, had a 1-0 lead. Felt like it would just be a continuation of Game 1, but Kansas City using their power play to respond for a 5-1 victory in Game 2. When you're looking at the big difference in those 2 games, it's that Florida in Game 1, they were able to get the kills and capitalize on their offensive chances. In Game 2, they couldn't do that. Kansas City going 3 for 6 on the power play, 0 for 5 in Game 1. Obviously a marked difference, and that's going to be a key area of focus tonight for Florida.
Home ice has been really pivotal for the Everblades in this playoff run so far, and we know that we're guaranteed to have at least 3 games here at Hertz Arena. Well, we're going to get the 3 games here at Hertz Arena. Whether the series goes to 6 and 7 back in Independence, Missouri remains to be seen, but home ice is vital for the Everblades. It's so important to get the fans into this game early, so how are the Blades going to do that?
Well, the Blades, they've been strong on home ice this year, and in the finals so far, they've had strong starts to games. So that's how you get the crowd into it early, right? You get early offense, a couple of big checks, hopefully an early goal. Florida scored 3 minutes into Game 1 and a minute and a half into Game 2, so maybe they could keep that trend going and divide 90 by 2 score in the first minute. That would certainly get the crowd to their feet early in the action. You just got to play Blades' brand of hockey. That's gotten the fans to their feet a lot of times this year, a lot of times during the postseason. Last round, Florida went 2 for 3 against Adirondack, a pair of shutout wins. Big saves for Cam Johnson, always appreciated by the crowd here. But this is the toughest task for sure in the finals as expected. Kansas City, they are 7-1 on the road in the playoffs so far this year, only losing 1 game to the Toledo Walleye in the Western Conference Finals. So it's certainly not going to be easy, but Hertz Arena is a bit of a different barn than any Kansas City has played in so far this year.
Kansas City for the 3rd straight season, the Bradham Cup champion, coming out of the Western Conference and playing in the Kelly Cup Finals. So certainly kind of on paper the most dangerous opponent that the Everblades have played so far in this postseason run.
Yeah, and you've seen it with some of their top stars, particularly in Game 2. Jeremy McKenna with goals in back-to-back games. Cole Koski tied with McKenna for the team lead in points against the Blades. Max Andreev's got a really good shot, and then there's just a whole bunch of really skilled forwards, a back end with big bodies that can bruise you on the boards. They know how to move the puck out of their end. And in Jack LaFontaine in Game 2, a really steady netminder who we expect to get the start tonight for Kansas City. They've been swapping their goaltender for the most part throughout the postseason so far between Morris and LaFontaine, but with a huge gap in performance between Morris in Game 1 and LaFontaine in Game 2. I imagine with it being the finals that we're just going to see LaFontaine the rest of the way, 200 feet from Cam Johnson.
It's been a pretty kind of concentrated focus of goal scoring. You mentioned that that 3 goal scorers in game 1 got at least 2 goals. That's Oliver Chow, Bobo Carpenter, and Reese Molik. But we've seen a few other guys get in there. Cole Moberg has found the back of the net. Zach Berzola has found the back of the net. So there's been some production coming from the blue line core, which we've seen so far in the postseason, but never really to this level of concentration.
Yeah, I mean, Cole Moberg with 6 goals. He's leading all ECHL defensemen in goals from the back end so far in the playoffs. Has more than doubled his point production from last year's Kelly Cup playoff run, so it's great to see that. Zach Berzola getting his first of the playoffs. The last defenseman who needed a goal in the postseason, he got it there. Unfortunately, Florida couldn't keep going from that one in game 2. But yeah, when the back end is moving for the Blades, getting pucks into the back of the net, getting lots of assists from tip shots, rebounds, all that kind of stuff, offense generated from the blue line is a big part of the Blades' success this season. So it's great to see that has showed up early in the finals in both games. And if the Blades are going to get this one done, whether it's at home ice or back in Independence, Missouri, the Blue Liners, they got to keep chipping in like that.
We've seen a lot of familiar faces in the Kelly Cup Finals so far. Guys like Cam Johnson, Joe Pendenza, Oliver Chow, sort of the core of the Everblades team are back in the Kelly Cup Finals. But you go to the other side of the ice to the Kansas City Mavericks, and Tad O'Had is the bench boss for the Mavericks, and he spent a few years here in Estero as an associate and assistant head coach with the Everblades.
Yeah, he's back in his old stomping grounds. He was here last year in the regular season. This 3 games probably going to feel a little different than the 3 we had last year in February here. And yeah, he's done a fantastic job. Finished up as the runner-up for Coach of the Year this year behind Greenville's Andrew Lord, certainly showing with his work. I believe the 2nd best season all time in ECHL history. Most road wins ever in a regular season with 29. Just a strong performance from him. And on the player side, 5 former Everblades are in the Kansas City lineup tonight, including 2 guys who were here for the 2022 championship, Jake Jeremko and Jake McLaughlin. So going to be familiar faces all over the ice, not just on the Florida side.
Plenty of Kelly Cup winning experience on both sides of the ice, and plenty of goals that we've seen so far in the first 2 games of the series. So, Jake, I think it's about time we get into the 3 keys of the game.
Well, the penalty kill is going to be important, right, Will? In game 2, that was the difference for Kansas City, getting 3 power play goals. So getting the PK back to the way it was in game 1 is going to be paramount for Florida tonight. Alongside that, you got to make sure you stay disciplined in game 1. Kansas City had 5 power plays. In game 2, they had 6, averaging almost 6 penalty kills a game. It just puts you in a tough spot for getting your own offense going. It's a momentum killer, right? It's half a period where you're most likely not pushing for offense. The Blades, they do have some shorthanded goals in the playoffs, but shorthanded goals aren't exactly a consistent form of offense. So staying disciplined and keeping the number of penalty kills down is going to be big for Florida, keeping it a 5-on-5 where they've been dominant in this postseason series. And finally, Will, as you said, we're back on home ice. The crowd's going to be amped up tonight, trying to get the guys going in a huge Game 3 matchup. Using that early and often throughout the game is going to be very important for Florida to take a series lead.
Game 3 of the Kelly Cup Finals tonight at Hertz Arena. Puck drop at 7:30. Fans, be sure to wear green this entire Kelly Cup Finals series. We'll see you at Hertz.